Hello, Chris here with Gav and star of Stage and Screen, Mr. Josh Gad, who you guys will know from Frozen, The Wedding Ringer, Jobs, The Book of Mormon, The Comedians, and new film Pixels.
Which is represented so beautifully.
Yeah, it's behind
here.
us.
Did you paint all this?
I did it this morning.
Gav's
incredible.
Yeah, he
Took ages.
It's amazing.
Like I didn't get any paint on my hands or anything.
Well, you got a little bit apparently all over that.
Yeah, except for that. Yeah.
Maybe the perfect movie for IGN because it fuses video games and film.
We actually made it for IGN.
We appreciate it.
It's a small demographic, but
it's not small actually.
No, it's true. Just the people who work here. It's a small demographic.
Okay, just
your fans are in the millions, but no, it does. It's sort of that movie that it not only feeds into that love for gaming, but it feeds on that '80s nostalgia that I think so many of us. I assume you guys grew up when I did.
Yeah.
It embraces that, and I think that's what's so fun about it. And Chris Columbus, who is the author of two of my favorite '80s movies of all time, Gremlins and Goonies, and of course the mastermind behind Mrs. Doubtfire, Home Alone, and the first two Harry Potter films. He's at the helm, and he brings that joy to it that I think translates really nicely to the screen.
Yeah. Did you get to geek out with him?
I did. I asked him some. Goonies is, anybody who knows me knows it's my favorite movie ever, unapologetically. And so, a lot of questions about Goonies, Adventures in Babysitting. You know, just ran the gamut with questions for him. Yeah, I just loved working with him. Yeah.
If they ever do make that Goonies sequel, did you give him a little nudge?
Yeah. Oh, but to play Chunk?
Well, no, not to play Chunk, just to play like whoever.
What are you suggesting at this point?
Like a Fratelli nephew, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be really good.
Maybe like...
Cousin Fratelli.
Cousin Fratelli.
Yeah.
I actually do a really mean impression of Mama Fratelli.
Oh, hello.
Hey. I actually do a really good impression of her from Throw Mama from the Train.
Okay.
Owen, come here, Owen. I don't know if it's a really good impression, but it's...
She scared me with the fingers. The fingers in the blender line. Really
terrifying. That entire bit is really, really scary. Like, I showed Goonies to someone.
Like when she's like telling Sloth how she dropped him as a baby. Yeah. Mama love you. Mama drop you.
So horrible.
Mama drop you on the baby. Baby. Yeah. Mama love you so much.
You're scaring me a little bit.
Yeah. But that's pretty good.
That was
good. I good Mama Fratelli.
I showed Goonies to someone the other day who didn't see it when they were a kid, and they're watching it now. And like when you watch it now, you're thinking like, how did my parents let me watch this?
It's really sadistic and weird, but all of those PG-13 Amblin movies were a little dark, and I mean, we're the generation that grew up with Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Yeah. This is stuff that nightmares are made of. Yeah. If I were caught showing my daughter Dark Crystal, my wife would leave me. Like, she'd be like, "What are you doing? You're going to traumatize." Yeah. And I think that there was just more acceptance back then.
Yeah. But there's a couple of moments in this movie that hark to that a little bit. Like there's a moment with Pac-Man that's kind of funny and then goes dark.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about this movie is it's PG-13 but it's sort of like those old school Amblin films where it doesn't pander to the kids. It goes a little dark and weird at times. I mean, Peter Dinklage's character suggests killing Hubert at one point. Yeah. There's a lot of fun in it. You know, it's definitely not going to win any Academy Awards, but it is no holds barred, just like goofy fun. And the 3D, which a lot of times is an afterthought, Chris, I think, did an amazing job of, visually creating a world that deserves to be seen in 3D. It's so good.
I don't know if it's a darkness, but there's certainly a weirdness to the romance that your character...
it's the most sadistic. I don't want to spoil the ending, but when they pitch it to me, I'm like, this has got to be the weirdest ending of all time, at least since like Weird Science, and probably even deeper and stranger in terms of the weirdness factor. We really want to do this? All right.
But I think you can say maybe who your character has a crush on.
Yes, Lady Lisa, played by Ashley Benson, which makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's hot.
She's beautiful.
And pixelated or not, she's gorgeous. Yeah. And he sort of has forever been in love with her. He actually writes a book about it, comic book, and
it's a beautiful little book.
It is a beautiful book. Yeah. I think they should sell it actually. So he falls in love with her, but the ending gets a little sadistic and weird.
It does seem weird. So are you a gamer?
I love games. Was a gamer. And then I had my oldest daughter, Ava, and I made a promise that I was going to sort of retire it, the
To
console.
her as a baby.
While she was in utero. I looked at my wife's stomach and I said, baby, I'm giving this up for you, little girl who can't see anything. No, I just sort of like, I wanted to be a hands-on dad, and I didn't want to have that going on in front of her. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I just got a PlayStation 4 though the other day. I haven't told my wife yet. And I have a nice 4K TV, so times are gonna change.
Yeah.
Figure I gave both kids at least 4 years.
Yeah, that's enough time.
Yeah.
That's more than enough.
Yeah.
I'd say.
They'll do all right after.
I do. I love games, but I sort of get lost. Like when I play any of the Arkham games, I need like a GPS, like a really good GPS navigation system, because I just wind up spending half the time walking through the streets of Gotham asking for directions. Like there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. I'm just like, do you know how to get to the asylum? I gotta go find the Joker.
That's the thing. Those are big games as well. So
the open world games, like Call of Duty's more my jam because it's a mission. You're sort of like propelled forward through the world. But when it's an open world game, I just sort of get like trapped.
This film harks back to a simpler time in gaming when you've got the retro games. The setup is them kind of invading the planet. Do you have a favourite of those retro games, or do you find them all as frustrating as I do nowadays? And I just can't.
I love the simplicity of Pac-Man. I love Galaga. Even though it's not a retro, well, it is a retro old game, but not an arcade game. Tetris, right? But
I think Tetris is the greatest game ever.
I think Tetris is pretty. I mean, before there was Candy Crush or any of that, there was Tetris, and Tetris is. I do believe it can infinitely go. I mean, it's just the most incredible. It's so simple, but it's just great, and actually great mind stimulation. Or at least I told myself that while I was avoiding math class and playing under the table with my Game Boy. But I was sort of the tail end of the arcade movement. I was born in '81. My brothers, I sort of lived through their eyes. There was this great arcade called Grand Prix Racerama, which was close to us, which we used to go to, and I used to watch my brothers at Hollywood, Florida, home of Billy Mitchell, King of Kong.
Awesome.
Right? So that's where I'm from. And then I sort of, my jam was more Nintendo.
Yeah.
And the home console. And, those like Duck Hunt, Zelda, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the Tecmo Bowl. I don't know if you guys had that here. Stuff like that. Contra. Those were the games that I played.
Contra's so hard now. Have you tried to play that recently? I tried to play Contra 2. It's absolutely solid.
Is it?
Yeah.
There was actually a Goonies game, Goonies 2, that was on Nintendo that was terrible.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Every movie tie-in was terrible back then.
It's really bad.
There's a really horrible Friday the 13th one, which is just pretty much impossible to play.
Really?
Yeah. I've tried to play it. It's like a
blood
NES game.
everywhere.
It's not even that really. And like Jason's just like a white blob
Yeah.
that walks around the screen.
Yeah,
That's disgusting.
But at the time we were all like, "These are the best guys. This is as good as it's ever gonna get." Yeah.
That's so funny. I saw from your bio that you were from Hollywood, Florida, and I was thinking, where do I know that from? And I know it from the King of Kong.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever met Billy Mitchell?
I've never met Billy Mitchell. I've met Seth Gordon, who directed it, but I've never met Billy Mitchell.
It feels like he...
Steve
Wiebe
was actually in our film, had a little cameo.
Oh, cool.
So I met him, yeah.
How was that? I shook his hand once, and it was a big moment for me to meet Steve Wiebe.
It's really great. He's the hero.
He's a
he's
special
amazing.
guy. If you haven't seen King of Kong, you need to watch
The
it
best.
now.
Yeah.
But I feel like Billy Mitchell kind of casts a shadow a little bit over, like, inspired maybe some of Peter Dinklage's performance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
There's some Mitchell in there.
Definitely his hair's performance.
You're just missing the Stars and Stripes tie.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, that hairdo is one for the ages.
Yeah.
Was it hard to keep a straight face though when you were talking to Dinklage and that? Like, he's just hysterical in that.
Yeah, he's so weird in it, and that voice. Hey, I was like, what is happening right now? It was amazing. Where I really geeked out was I was with him for the final 3 weeks of season 4 of Game of Thrones.
Oh, nice.
So I watched the final 3 episodes with him. That was a big ending with his dad and the show.
Yeah.
The show off, the send off, and it was so weird to just be sitting across from Tyrion Lannister, watching him on TV, and one of those geek moments where I had so many questions, but I didn't want to ask the questions because I didn't want to be the
You want to be cool.
jackass.
Yeah,
He's like,
that guy.
wait, what does this mean for your character
Yeah.
and the future of you inheriting the throne? It's unlikely at this point, I imagine. So that was really cool.
What is he like when he's watching Game of Thrones? Like, is he getting as into it as other people do?
I know he's actually
on his
very
phone.
he's actually very much self-deprecating about it, and like I think he, like any of us, is always like, oh, I could have done that better, but he's coming at it from like a perspective of like, well, you know, oh, I wish I would have done this differently, but I mean, I think he appreciates the unbelievably large nature of what the show has become and how important it is to everybody.
Yeah, I guess so.
I want to ask you about London in this movie. Do you think that that's what we're all like? That if you tell us it's a beer commercial, we'll all be happy and run off?
I didn't write that. No. I've been shooting a movie here for 3 months, and I find you to be the loveliest people I've ever met.
No, we do like beer and pubs. We do, but I did have to laugh that was kind of the perception of the Brits. I'll just tell them it's a beer commercial.
Right.
They'll be fine.
At least it's Sean Bean doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you buy anything that Sean Bean says. No, I've actually had the time of my life here. It's funny because a lot of times you get sent to places to shoot where you're like, I got to spend however many months here. It's going to kill me. With England, I can't wait to do something else here. I've truly had the time of my life.
Have you discovered the joys of Greg's Bakery?
No.
Because I saw there's a quote. Because there's a quote today from Jake Gyllenhaal saying that he loves being in London because he loves going to Greg's and eating a baguette from Greg's every day. Now you do not get a body like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I was going to
if
say
you're eating Greg's.
I was going to say Jake's got the body to pull that off. I do not have what you might call as good metabolism as Jake apparently. Okay. So. As efficient metabolism, so I will not be going to Greg's every day.
One thing I liked in the movie was you singing a song.
Yeah.
Was that your idea? Did they come to you with that?
They pitched me an idea about what I would be doing during that scene, and I was like, well, why don't we have me do like an 80s song? And, you know, Everybody Wants to Rule the World was on this list of like 30 songs that they gave me of what we could do. And I immediately was like, that has to be it. I mean, not only because it's a killer song, but just because the lyrics are everybody wants to rule the world.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer for this movie. It's high. It's a little high.
And a British band, keeping it
Tears for Fears.
Theme. Yeah. Your character is a conspiracy theorist in this film as well.
Yes, he
What's
is.
the most outlandish one? I'm trying to think that he hasn't.
He thinks Kennedy shot first.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good one.
Like Han Solo.
Just mixing up his worlds there.
Yeah.
That's a really good joke.
Yeah.
So, inspired by that, Gav, you had an idea,
Oh, Gav!
a little bit of fun.
We've got a list of 5.
I'm worried that your arm is going to come to life. What is happening with those tattoos?
It's fine. They're okay. I can keep them under control.
Okay.
There's Bill Murray somewhere around there.
Yeah, Bill
Is
Murray.
there? You got Bill
Yeah.
Murray?
Yeah.
Will you ever put a Josh Gad tattoo on your ass?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, that is Bill
We'll go
Murray.
for this. Yeah, it's Bill Murray in Life Aquatic. If I ever meet him, I don't know if I'd have the guts to show him. You met him the other day.
I met him last week.
You told him about my tattoo?
No, it didn't
come
go
up.
well. It
Didn't
went
come up.
weird.
Oh,
It went
no,
weird.
You
don't
told
say
him?
that.
I just tried to have a conversation with him. He didn't want to talk to me. We did a picture and he made a funny joke at the end, but he was kind of a bit rude to me before that, and it made me feel sad because he's my favourite actor.
I know. I've had that before.
But you know what? Everyone asked him for a picture, so
Exactly,
I was
yeah.
that dude. I was like, oh,
How many times have you got to do that every
Yeah,
day?
he's the best.
Have you ever
Yeah.
met him?
No, I've never met him. I wonder if those stories are true that he goes up to people,
I really hope they are.
puts his hands on their eyes, and then they turn around and he's like, no one will ever believe you. I hope it's true.
To end our conversation, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "London." And he just walked away and said, "Never heard of it."
That's
A
great.
little funny line.
Great.
Well, that's a good conspiracy theory about Bill Murray.
Yes, nice.
I don't know, thank you. Bring it back. So
Yes.
we've got a list of 5 famous conspiracy theories. 3 of them are true, 2 of them are false.
So they're not really conspiracy theories if they're true. They're what we call facts.
They
Well-
are. No, they are. I think you said they were believed to be true on 4chan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, on 4chan.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not.
then
that they are.
everything on 4chan is legitimate. Okay,
Exactly,
go on.
yeah. Okay, so the first one then. Yoga is a form of satanic worship. So some Christians claim that by practicing yoga, people are actually being tricked into worshipping Satan and opening themselves up for satanic possession.
True.
That is true. That is a
true.
huge thing.
I think I've heard that before.
So that means the people of 4chan.
By the way,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
true,
to those listening at home, that's why I don't do yoga.
Number 2, Saddam Hussein was killed because he had access to a Stargate. Is it Stargate?
Stargate, yeah.
Okay, you spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein's real-life Stargate was the real reason for the Iraq invasion. It is widely believed that hidden in central Iraq is an actual Stargate, placed there by the Anunnaki gods, and that is the reason the Iraq War was started.
Okay, so you're asking me, is that true, or do people believe that to be true?
Do people believe that to be true?
Sure.
That is true.
Yeah,
People believe that. I can see how Iraq isn't that old ancient Babylon? Like I can see how people think that's like
connection.
It's like a huge thing. So some of these ones, the ones that are true, like are crazy true.
Right.
So like I watched a lot of mental videos yesterday about people who genuinely think this stuff, but like also not even presenting it as like, oh, this might be true. It's like, no, this
like,
is real.
This is fact.
This is 100% real.
There is a Stargate that Kurt Russell and Saddam Hussein have both gone through in Iraq. I buy it.
Okay, so this one then. The government secretly uses Call of Duty as a recruitment tool. For years, the government has been monitoring the best Call of Duty players in the world and has been known to draft in the best players using a loophole known as CODing. Is that true or false? Do people believe that?
Well, I know that the government actually does utilize game skills once they've been brought in, so I would imagine that people would buy that, yeah.
It's false, I made it up.
Really?
I made it up this morning on the bus.
Oh, wow.
But with the old, what do you call it? The unpiloted, unmanned,
Yeah?
Drones.
the drones.
Because I
knows?
just watched a special that they actually do, like, a lot of the drone pilots, they actually do play a lot
Yeah.
of those games
Yeah.
for visual stimulation
Yeah.
hand-eye coordination.
And of course, that was the plot of The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think that's the only one on your list that's legitimately true.
We're going to uncover
The
like, a
others are all
conspiracy theory.
actual bullshit. That one is for real.
Number 4, Taylor Swift is secretly lurking on 4chan. Some of 4chan and Reddit's best minds have uncovered the truth that Taylor Swift actually loves going on 4chan and messing with the users.
That makes me laugh to the point that I'm going to say true. I want it to be true.
True.
It's 100% true.
Is it true?
Yeah, that's believable.
It's great.
That's
Maybe
one-
she does.
That's one that you should definitely look at because it's one that they were like, oh no, this is the evidence. Okay, this is the evidence.
I love it.
It's so mental.
I love it.
It's really, really good. Okay, final one. Adam Sandler predicted the death of Shirley Temple. So in a deleted scene included on the Russian DVD release of Grown Ups 2, Adam Sandler turns and looks directly into the camera in a rare break of character and says, "The light of our fairest little lady will go out on February 10th, 2014. True or false?
It seems so random. I'm going to say false.
It is false.
It's false. Gav made that
It's
up.
false. I made it up on the bus.
It was too weird, Gav.
Yeah.
That was too
That was-
weird.
yeah,
You
that
just
was
went-
too
the last
weird.
one's always going to be weird.
Yeah. That one was desperate.
It's genuinely hard to come up with
No,
a conspiracy theory
this
that's
one's
so
really
mental.
good, actually. The third one is really good
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that one actually seems the most legitimate.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense if you're really good
Yeah.
at some of these games, especially for hand-eye coordination purposes.
And do you know what I'm going to say? It kind of ties it back to Pixels.
It does.
That's
because
right.
they recruit gamers.
They do.
That is why I like you so much. Podcast. No, they do. They recruit gamers who follow the patterns and
Yeah.
know what's going to happen, what these arcade characters are.
Almost like I saw the film yesterday.
That's right.
Games
really
and
on
Adam
your
Sandler
mind.
was on my mind.
That's right.
Well, well done. You got
Give
3
away.
out of 5. Excellent.
I got 4 out of 5,
think
buddy.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
I
4
think
out of 5.
I
Sorry.
was keeping count.
You defeated us. Can I take you back in time now?
You may not. Well, is it going to hurt?
No.
We'll go
Okay.
through Saddam
Yeah.
Hussein's Stargate.
If it's through the Babylonian Stargate system, then I don't want to go. But if there's another way, like a DeLorean, then I'm happy to.
The Back to the Future cast was in London this week.
Celebrating the 30th?
Yeah, like there was a convention and they did a bunch of press in preparation for the 30th for Back to the Future Day. But yeah, they had everyone apart from Biff, and that's my favourite film. So I got to meet Doc.
Back to the Future's in my top 3.
Got to meet Doc and Lorraine. It was like
Wait, was Michael here?
yeah, he was here last weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, he didn't do interviews, but
why
he
didn't
did.
Biff Tannen come?
Yeah, that's weird.
Don't know. He sent a video. I don't think there was anything weird.
Was
He sent a
Crispin
video.
Glover here?
No, they are. Although he's doing interviews here in a couple of weeks, but he said that he didn't feel like doing it.
Okay.
He talks about the movie now, but it's still weird for him.
Because of the second one.
Yeah, and
They
he
have
kind of
somebody on the edge of the
sued
stage
them
upside
and-
down. Just by his boots.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I was very excited though. But I want to
So
take
great.
you not
Yes,
that far back in
take me.
Book of Mormon. What was it like working with Matt and Trey on that?
One of the highlights of my career. I mean, I was involved in that process from the beginning. So 4 years before it ever saw a stage, we were workshopping it and being privy to their creative process and seeing something start in its most nascent stages and develop into one of the most successful musicals of all time. Forget about musical comedies. It was fascinating, especially with the content being what it was. I certainly, the first time they sent me a demo to gauge my interest, I called my agent and I said, I cannot do this. And they said, why? And I go, because I will be murdered by fanatics who see this and are like, this is the craziest, most inappropriate thing I've ever seen. There's no safety net. You're not an animated character. There's no screen between you and the audience.
Was that a genuine fear, though, do you think? It was.
Well, I think you forget now we sort of take for granted that Book of Mormon is just accepted, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, at the time, there were actually, we would get like, I remember when we were first going to Broadway, we had security briefings. We had like, there were articles written about how there were going to be picket lines around the corner, how nobody was going to, that there would be crazy. It was also around the time that Trey and Matt had like a fatwa put on their heads.
Right, okay, yeah.
South Park. So it was sort of a little disquieting, but the product was so good, the possibilities were so great that you sort of had to do it.
Yeah. I'm still debating whether to get tickets for my mum and dad. I loved it. I think it's the greatest show I've ever seen at the West End, but I still don't know if my mum can take it.
It's amazing how many people, though, who went in feeling that way came out of it being
absolutely loving it,
absolutely in love with it.
Yeah. It's because it's got real heart to it.
It does, and it's actually
so genuine.
If you stick with it, it actually has a very, strangely enough, pro-faith message, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah, definitely. I think when I went in, I mean, I thought it was just going to be hilarious anyway, but I think I was surprised by how just not vicious it was on the Mormon faith, really. I mean, obviously, it takes the piss quite a lot, but it doesn't, I don't know, it never feels mean.
No,
it's
not mean-spirited, and they rode the line so brilliantly, I thought. And they never crossed that line, and it's I've had an opportunity now to work with, I think, three of the greatest satirists of all time, in Trey and Matt, of course, and Jon Stewart, and what they all do so brilliantly is they know how to just get away with, what you can get away with without ever pushing to the limit where you're like, it's too much for me to handle.
Yeah.
There were some very questionable things in that show, and somehow the audience just goes with it.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever see a movie?
I certainly think there will be a movie eventually. I certainly do. I don't know when. I don't know in what incarnation. I don't know, what it'll be. But I think they'll do it.
Do you think it's something they could reasonably directly adapt, or do you think they'd have to change a lot to make that transition?
I think it would work either way, but I think that knowing Trey and Matt, they're not. I don't think there's any reason for them to just regurgitate what they've done before. I think that they're always looking to keep fresh and do something different and try something new. So I don't think it'll be verbatim what you saw on the stage.
No. I hope it happens.
A lot of people do.
And obviously you're working on a musical right now. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's happening there?
Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
I can tell you that it's going to be just really amazing. Bill Condon is doing a remarkable job of bringing this world that we've all fallen in love with ever since the animated classic came out to life. And the cast that they've assembled, Emma Watson, Dan Stevens, Luke Evans, Sir Ian McKellen, Emma Thompson, Stanley Tucci, Ewan McGregor, the list goes on and on.
Amazing,
it's
insane.
A-plus cast, and I think it's going to be really special.
Do you remember seeing that movie for the first time, the animated film?
I do. And I remember the audience erupting into applause after Be Our Guest.
Yeah. It was special because we'd had about a decade where we hadn't had great Disney. It had been...
Well, it started with Little Mermaid.
Sure.
And then...
But that was more for girls, like certainly the age that we were at. So I didn't see Little Mermaid at the cinema.
The one that really resonated with me the most was Aladdin.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, like, Robin Williams' tour de force performance in that was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I remember looking at the screen and saying, I want to do that one day.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what really inspired me when I was doing Frozen, is like, that performance just seemed so fresh and so different and so wonderfully appropriate for, you know, that world and that comic relief.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of capture that. And I miss that man every day.
Yeah.
He's the greatest.
And you play LeFou? Is that
I do. I
the
play
name?
LeFou, and I have a big number in it, which I'm thrilled that I get to sing and dance on screen.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
I've never done a live action musical before, so it's really, you know, we got here about a month before shooting to rehearse all the singing and dancing, and it was like doing theater. I mean, it was really just fun.
Are you the best singer?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. No.
A lot of your scenes will be with Gaston.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Luke Evans, one of your countrymen.
Yeah, Welsh.
Is it
Welsh.
fun?
Yeah.
Is it fun playing off Luke?
Luke is going to blow people away. I mean,
Awesome.
he's so funny in this movie. And killer pipes. Killer
Really?
pipes. Yeah.
It's because he's Welsh. He's from the valleys. Of course we have. We've all got that.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have played LeFou
Yeah.
easily. So he's great. Yeah. Everybody's great.
Yeah.
And there was a famous picture, I think, that McKellen put up of your table read. What was that first table read like?
It was unlike anything I've ever been a part of before because it was just so epic. I mean, it was like, you almost felt like all it was missing was an audience of like 7,000 because it was just full on. Usually a table read is a very intimate affair. You're all sitting there with your scripts. You're all engaging by virtue of hearing it out loud. But that's where it ends. This, we were seeing full performance numbers. We were seeing full pre-visualizations of some of these incredibly complex scenes, and it was unlike anything I've ever been a part of and probably will ever be a part of. It was just full on.
Really cool. I sometimes wish they would film those and put them on the DVD or something.
Who said they didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Sometimes they do. I watched a really good one for Forgetting Sarah Marshall that was awesome.
Yeah,
and that's a really
like a comedy.
It's really fun to watch.
Imagine if you could watch it for the classics though, like Godfather or Goodfellas table
Right,
read.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Pixels.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah.
Another film I want to ask you about, which is a bit weirder, is Angry Birds. Is that really a thing?
It's really a thing, and in fact, when I was approached by it, I actually said no, well, for many reasons. The most significant of which was I was like, I did Olaf. I don't really want to play another animated character, especially right now. And the producer was like, just let me kind of pitch out this movie to you, and did this reel for me of what he was thinking about. And it was like this 30-minute visual pitch. And it just blew my socks off. It's really irreverent and really like in that Lego movie sensibility.
Yeah.
It's subversive and funny and unexpectedly smart and really beautiful. Actually, like gorgeous.
Yeah.
The little I've seen of it has really impressed me.
Is it a game you played on your phone?
I played Star Wars Angry Birds.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Defeated it.
Are you a big Star Wars guy?
Huge.
How excited are you for Force Awakens, man?
11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, like, I've watched the behind-the-scenes video probably 20 times.
Oh man, yeah, that was amazing. We saw the trailer in a cinema, and I think I said to you afterwards, I was like, I don't know how I'm actually going to be able to watch the entire thing in the cinema.
It's funny, I'll tell you this, is I've, being working in London now, a lot of the guys who worked on it are, like, geeky about it, and I was in a position, I don't want anyone to be sued or anything, but I was in a position where they were, like, willing to tell me things about the movie. and I had to shut them down because I was like, I don't want it spoiled. I want to go into that theater, and I'm like, not to mention the fact that I can't sit on that information. And I had one thing spoiled for me, and I was so angry because I'm like, it deprived me of.
You want to experience it like everybody else.
I want to experience it like everybody else, but.
It's a weird thing of doing our job sometimes, is that there's this thirst for information, that we're part of that machine. But I personally don't want to know a lot of the stuff. But people do, and it's.
I do. I have a problem sometimes when some of the sites spoil some big things.
Okay,
I know it has to be done, and I'm the first one to go and read the spoiler, even though there's warnings. But it's like I almost feel like it would be better if it was just we didn't know. You know. But it's the age we live in. Everybody's after that story.
Yeah, I'm sitting there crying as I type it up.
Did you have you spoiled some Star Wars stuff?
No, not personally. I've managed to avoid reading anything that if it has appeared on our site. But you do. Gav does a weekly Star Wars show on the site, so I don't know how you can avoid stuff.
Just have to read everything, yeah.
But we choose not to spoil anything if we can help it.
I wouldn't want to talk about something that is going to spoil it for people, so I don't see some things. I'm just like, well,
speculate on stuff in the trailer.
But do you think that the movie's been spoiled for you in some ways?
No, I mean a couple of bits. I've heard like different bits and bobs, but I've managed to pretty much forget quite a lot of stuff because you hear so much stuff as well.
How great is that? Chewie, we're home. Yeah. Oh, and that smirk.
But I wish I could not see or hear anything between now and next Christmas.
It's not going to happen.
This Christmas Eve.
I'm
done.
I know this is sacrilegious, but I almost would be fine if there were no more trailers released.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Just had those two little, because the movie's apparently short.
Okay.
So I don't want that.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No, didn't he say that? I thought I read that online.
Yeah.
Like it's not a 2.5-hour movie.
No,
which is good.
It's not like Lord of the Rings. So I'm like, every minute that I see on screen, I want to be completely new. I'm so excited. And I'm excited about the spin-offs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're going to be really good.
Do you think, speaking of spin-offs, do you think we could ever see an Olaf spin-off?
You know what it comes down to is John Lasseter and his brain trust, who run Pixar and Disney, are very sensitive to making sure that it's coming from a place of character and story. So until there's a reason to do it, you know, like Frozen 2 actually came about a lot quicker than I think any of us ever anticipated, because you look at the difference in time. There was 10 years before they made Finding Dory now, and 6-7 years before they made Toy Story 3. And I think that they tend to take a lot of time by virtue of the fact that they want to get it right. They know what the expectation is, especially for a movie like Frozen, where it just became a phenomenon. There's a lot of expectation there.
Huge as well.
So where are you at with the sequel? Is there a script, or is there?
They're just right now they're doing their thing of breaking down the story, and you know, I'm sure that soon enough we'll know more, but they're keeping us in the dark.
What's it like there now, a couple of years removed from that all happening? Does it feel like a dream? Like it seemed like a very surreal thing to happen to a film that wasn't a huge amount of.
It remains surreal. I mean, nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming. It was not on anybody's most anticipated list. It was certainly, it was certainly not something I saw coming. And I went into a screening at Disney with no expectations whatsoever, other than I'm going to see a cute princess movie. And I saw it with my wife, actually, and she looked at me and she goes, "Whoa, this is really, really special." And it was actually right after Do You Want to Build a Snowman that she said that to me. And you felt that. You were like, this just takes you back to those Disney fairy tale movies that you fell in love with. Which they sort of hadn't traditionally done in a while. Tangled did, but...
When did you know, though, once it was out there, that the phenomenon that it had become? You might have had a feeling, but was there a moment when you were like, "Wow, this is..."
Yes. It was... The movie came out in November, and by December, every store was out of merchandise. Every store was out of merchandise. I couldn't get Olaf merchandise or princess merchandise, and I was in the movie. And then in January, after being out on Thanksgiving, he suddenly popped up to #1 on the charts. Like, that doesn't happen. So it just became very strange, and it was just like, it wasn't like Jurassic World, for instance, where it just boom, it was just a slow burn.
Yeah.
And it was really fascinating.
It snowballed.
Oh, come on.
I hate what you did there. I actually hate what you did.
So you said you've got kids. Do they watch Frozen? What do they think about it?
My oldest daughter does.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter still shits her diapers, so she doesn't.
She's probably not watching.
Can I say that? Can I say diapers?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So she doesn't know.
What's it like for her to watch it though? Like, obviously she knows it's you in the film.
She is so tickled by it. The first time I took her to see, the first movie I ever took her to see was Monsters University in the theater. She was 2 years old, and they showed. It was a little scary, but she did quite well. She loves Monsters Inc. That's why I took her. And cool. Thanks for making me seem like a bad
parent.
They did the teaser trailer, and my character had no dialogue. He just laughed. She immediately recognized my laugh.
No way.
And she said, "Dada, more Dada," and it was crazy.
Yeah.
I still can't comprehend it.
That's crazy.
That's really cute.
Yeah. So she's over it now. Now she's moved on to like Big Hero 6, Minions, things like that.
But she's gonna have that for the rest of her life. Be like, so what did your dad do? He's all laugh. Be like, what?
Yeah. She's gonna be like, he's Olaf, and also in Pixels. That's gonna be her. Just so over it all.
I was gonna ask, what's the craziest Frozen fan request you've had? Is there? Because it seems to have gotten to like quite an insane level.
It's
fandom.
crazy. It's crazy.
Is there really weird things you get asked to say or do?
Oh yeah, I was asked to like sing in summer at like a bar mitzvah or something. Like people ask really weird stuff.
That's
like
gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
Cross, I leave a lot of messages, especially for kids in need, who I feel like, maybe it can make a difference. And even give them an escape for 1 minute.
Yeah.
And that joy is unlike anything else I've ever had as a performer, is to just give children who are suffering, or anybody who's suffering, even a little tiny escape. It's a very empowering feeling. It's like it actually, what I do is inconsequential, but that little thing makes a difference, and that to me is the coolest aspect of being a part of something like Frozen.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's really cool.